Have you ever wondered why happiness seems so fragile, slipping through your fingers the moment life gets heavy? What if happiness is not something you wait for, but something you train for every single day? And what if the ancients already gave us the tools to build daily peace and strength, no matter what storms surround us? Happiness is not luck. It is not something scattered like coins for the fortunate to find. It is not a prize waiting for the perfect moment. Happiness is a practice, a discipline, a choice repeated day after day until it becomes a way of life. Think about it. The world tells us that happiness arrives with success, with money, with recognition. Yet how often do we achieve one goal only to discover that joy fades almost instantly? Like chasing the horizon, the more we run, the further it seems. But the Stoics knew a different truth. Happiness is not out there. It is within, and it is shaped by how you train your mind. This video is not about pretending sadness does not exist. It is not about denying pain or ignoring hardship. It is about learning to meet life as it is, its light and its shadow, and still choosing to create peace within yourself. Because daily peace is not an accident. It is something you build. So let us step into the wisdom of the ancients. Let us learn how to push ourselves, not into exhaustion, not into endless striving, but into the quiet strength of happiness chosen every day. Happiness begins with awareness. You cannot choose what you do not notice. The first step is to see clearly what your mind is feeding you each morning. Do you wake with gratitude, or do you wake with complaint? Do you see the chance of a new day, or the weight of yesterday's failures? Marcus Aurelius would begin his mornings by reminding himself, "Today I will meet people who are selfish, arrogant, deceitful, yet they cannot harm my mind unless I allow them." He understood that peace begins before the world reaches you. It begins in the way you prepare your thoughts. Happiness is not the absence of difficulty. It is the strength to meet difficulty with composure. Picture two people facing the same storm. One curses the rain, feeling attacked by the sky itself. The other lifts their face, breathes deeply, and says, "This too is life, and I will walk through it with calm." The storm is the same, but the experience is entirely different. And here lies the practice. Every day you must push yourself to notice your thoughts, to guide them, to redirect them. When the mind begins replaying mistakes, you can gently say, "This belongs to the past." When anxiety spins stories about tomorrow, you can whisper, "Tomorrow has not come. I will stay here." Each redirection is an act of training. Each redirection is you reclaiming happiness. Seneca taught, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence on the future." Yet most of us live everywhere except the present. We dwell on what has gone wrong or what might go wrong, and we miss what is right in front of us. The present moment is simple, but it is also sacred. To enjoy it fully is a form of strength. The Stoics did not believe happiness meant feeling good all the time. They believed happiness meant living in alignment with reason, with virtue, with clarity. When your actions match your values, when your thoughts match reality, peace naturally follows. So happiness is not passive, it is active. It is built by choosing presence, by choosing gratitude, by choosing clarity. This is why the Stoics trained every day, because they knew happiness, like strength, must be exercised. Imagine treating happiness like you treat the body. Would you expect health if you never moved, never nourished yourself, never rested? Then why expect happiness if you never train the mind? Each day is your training ground. Each morning is an opportunity to practice gratitude. Each challenge is a chance to practice resilience. Each evening is a moment to reflect and realign. This is the daily discipline of happiness. Not waiting for life to be perfect, but practicing peace right where you stand. And now that we understand happiness as practice, not chance, we face the next question. How do we strengthen this practice when life feels unbearable, when pain presses too close, when the weight of the world makes joy feel impossible? That is where the wisdom of the Stoics shines even brighter, and where we turn next. In the last chapter, we uncovered the truth that happiness is not luck, but discipline. Not a prize waiting at the finish line, but a daily practice you train in the same way you would train your body. But now we face the question, what happens when life feels unbearable, when joy seems out of reach, when the weight of suffering presses so close you can hardly breathe? How do you practice happiness then? The Stoics were no strangers to pain. Marcus Aurelius ruled during plagues and war. Seneca wrote his letters while living under constant threat of death. Epictetus was born into slavery and lived with a broken leg for life. Yet they discovered ways to remain steady in the storm. Their secret was this: suffering itself is not the enemy. It is the interpretation we attach to suffering that decides whether we break or grow. Picture two people facing the same trial. One collapses under the weight, asking why me, believing life has singled them out. The other whispers, this is hard, but it is not forever, and I will endure. The trial is the same, yet the inner experience is entirely different. Why? Because one gives power to despair, while the other gives power to resilience. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor strengthens the body." The Stoics saw struggle not as a curse but as training. Just as muscles grow by resisting weight, the soul grows by resisting hardship. This is why they practiced happiness even in adversity. They chose to see challenge as an opportunity to sharpen character. So how do we apply this today? When sadness grips you, do not see it as a verdict on your life. See it as weather, clouds passing, rain falling. You may get wet, but the storm will move on. When fear rises, do not imagine it as an eternal wall. See it as fog that only looks impenetrable until the sun dissolves it. When anger burns, do not hand it the reins. See it as fire. You can let it consume, or you can harness it for light. The Stoics trained themselves to create space between stimulus and response, between what happens and how they interpret it. That space is the birthplace of freedom. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. This is the practice. To catch yourself when despair whispers, this will last forever, and instead answer, it will pass. To catch yourself when anger screams strike back, and instead whisper, I remain calm. To catch yourself when anxiety imagines disaster, and instead breathe, I am here. I am safe. This is only a thought. Every time you do this, you reclaim happiness from suffering. You choose strength instead of surrender. You push yourself not into denial, but into clarity. Think of the nights when your thoughts spin and you cannot rest. What if instead of fighting them, you let them pass like clouds across the night sky? What if instead of fearing them, you remembered? They are visitors, not your identity. Would the weight not lighten, even just a little? The ancients did not believe happiness meant constant pleasure. They believed happiness meant harmony with reality. To accept what you cannot change, to act with courage where you can, and to maintain clarity no matter what storms arrive. And here is the paradox. When you stop resisting pain with bitterness, it loses its power to crush you. When you stop clinging to joy with desperation, it becomes sweeter in its season. When you stop demanding that life always feel good, you unlock the freedom to feel peace even when it does not. This is how the Stoics practiced happiness every day. By accepting the full spectrum of life without letting any single moment define them. They knew joy is deeper than pleasure. Peace is stronger than circumstance. And strength is born from choosing clarity in the storm. So the next time you feel trapped in sorrow or fear or anger, remember the discipline. Step back, breathe, observe. Remind yourself, this is temporary. This is not who I am. This too shall pass. In that moment, you are pushing yourself to happiness, not by force, but by wisdom. And once you begin to see suffering as temporary, once you learn to create space between event and interpretation, you are ready for the next step, to build daily anchors, rituals, and practices that keep you grounded so that no matter what storms come, you remain steady. That is where we turn next. We ended the last chapter with a vital truth. Suffering is temporary, and within every hardship lies a choice, how you respond. The Stoics discovered that this choice is strengthened through practice, and practice is sustained through ritual. Rituals are not empty repetition. Rituals are sacred signals to the mind. They anchor you in clarity when chaos surrounds you. They remind you who you want to be before life tests you. They transform ordinary days into opportunities for mastery. Marcus Aurelius began each morning preparing his mind. He reminded himself, "Today you will meet people who are selfish, arrogant, ungrateful, but they cannot harm you unless you allow it." This was not cynicism, it was armor. By rehearsing reality, he entered the day with calm expectation instead of frustration. Seneca ended each night with reflection. He would ask, "What did I do well? Where did I falter? How can I improve tomorrow?" This was not judgment but clarity. Like a sailor checking his compass, he realigned his course before sleep. Epictetus gave his students a simple challenge. First, say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. He knew identity is not an accident. It is shaped daily by intention. So how can we practice this in our lives? Start your mornings with stillness before the world intrudes. Breathe deeply. Ask yourself, what challenges may come today? What virtues will I need? Who do I want to be no matter what? This is your armor. It sets your posture before the day demands it. Carry small rituals into your hours. When tension rises, pause for a single breath before you speak. When anxiety grips, remind yourself, this is only a thought, it will pass. When frustration builds, step outside, look at the sky, and reset. These are not small acts. They are bricks in the fortress of your mind. And when evening comes, reflect, not with cruelty, but with honesty. Ask what stirred me today, what tested me, what did I overcome, and what can I choose differently tomorrow? Write it down if you can. These words become a mirror. They show you not who you pretend to be, but who you are becoming. At first, these rituals may feel simple, but simple is powerful. Drops of water carve rivers. Small acts repeated daily reshape the mind. And soon, these rituals are no longer effort. They are instinct. They transform you from reactive to deliberate, from scattered to centered. Think of a tree standing in the wind. Without deep roots, it sways wildly, at risk of breaking. With roots that run deep, it bends but does not fall. Your rituals are those roots. They ground you when storms arrive. They give you strength others cannot see. This is why the Stoics trained every day. Not because they were weak, but because they wanted to be unshakable. They knew that storms would come, that insults would sting, that fear would whisper, that grief would visit. But they also knew that with rituals, they could remain steady, anchored, and calm. Ask yourself now, what are your rituals? Do you drift into each day, hoping for peace, or do you build it with intention? Do you collapse into each night, or do you reflect and realign? Do you hand your emotions control, or do you guide them with discipline? Happiness is not a gift, it is a design, and rituals are how you design it. And once you begin to live by ritual, once you anchor yourself in small daily practices, you are ready to face the deeper truth. That peace itself is not an accident, but a discipline, a choice you train again and again until it becomes your natural strength. That is where we turn next. We ended the last chapter with rituals, the roots that hold us steady. But rituals alone are not enough. The Stoics remind us that peace itself is not an accident, not a passing mood, not a stroke of fortune. Peace is a discipline. Anyone can feel calm when life is gentle, when nothing is pressing, when the road is smooth. But what happens when chaos erupts, when tempers flare, when pressure mounts? This is where true strength is revealed. Peace is not weakness. Peace is not indifference. Peace is controlled power. It is the ability to feel the fire of emotion rise and still choose clarity. It is the ability to stand tall while the ground beneath you shakes. It is the ability to act with reason when others are ruled by impulse. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. He was not dismissing pain, nor denying difficulty. He was teaching himself discipline, the practice of sovereignty over the self. Anger may surge, but you can choose not to hand it control. Fear may whisper, but you can choose not to obey. Anxiety may rattle, but you can choose to anchor in the present. The ancients compared emotions to wild horses. Left untamed, they will drag you wherever they wish. Trained with discipline, they become powerful allies. Anger becomes courage. Fear becomes awareness. Anxiety becomes preparation, but only if you hold the reins. So how do we cultivate this discipline of peace? Through practice. Each time you pause, instead of reacting, you strengthen the muscle of calm. Each time you breathe instead of bursting, you train clarity. Each time you choose to observe rather than obey your feelings, you reclaim freedom. And slowly, this discipline becomes natural. You no longer chase peace, it flows through you. You no longer cling to control, you embody it. You no longer fear the storm, you welcome it as training. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom is not found in doing whatever impulse demands. Freedom is found in being unchained from impulse altogether. Ask yourself, who is stronger? The person who strikes back in rage, or the one who feels rage but chooses patience? Who is braver? The one who collapses under fear, or the one who feels fear and still steps forward? Strength is not the absence of emotion, it is the mastery of it. And here is the beauty. You do not need to be perfect to live this way. Discipline is not about never slipping. It is about returning each time you fall. It is about pausing after anger, breathing after fear, resetting after anxiety. Every return is practice. Every practice is progress. Every progress is proof of mastery. This is why the Stoics trained daily. They did not expect to erase emotion, but to master it. They did not seek a life without storms, but a self unshaken within storms. And this is the discipline you are called to build. Not perfection, but sovereignty. Not control over the world, but control over yourself. And once you begin to see peace as discipline, once you live not by reaction, but by mastery, you uncover the final lesson. That everything, every joy, every fear, every pain, every storm is temporary. And in that truth lies the deepest freedom of all. And once you begin to see peace as discipline, once you live not by reaction but by mastery, you uncover the final lesson. That everything, every joy, every fear, every pain, every storm is temporary. And in that truth lies the deepest freedom of all. We have walked a long road together, from the first step of noticing your thoughts, to the wisdom of seeing emotions as visitors, to the strength of daily rituals, to the discipline of peace itself. And now we arrive at the deepest truth of Stoicism, the truth of impermanence. Everything is temporary. The storms you feared would never end, they passed. The grief that felt unbearable, it softened. The anger that once consumed you, it faded. Even the joy you once clung to with desperation, it too changed shape. Nothing in life is fixed. Everything moves, everything shifts, everything transforms. The Stoics taught us that in this truth lies freedom. If pain does not last forever, then you can endure it. If joy does not last forever, then you must cherish it. Either way, you are no longer a prisoner, you are free. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself. Time is like a river, all things swept away in its current. Seneca wrote, "Life is long if you know how to use it," Epictetus told his students. When you are disturbed, remember, it is not the event but your judgment about it. These voices echo across centuries to remind us. Everything changes, but within that change, you can remain steady. Think of the seasons. Winter feels endless, yet spring always returns. Night falls, yet dawn always breaks. The tide goes out, yet it always comes back. Life is no different. Whatever you are facing now, it will not last. Whatever joy you feel now, it will evolve. This is not a reason to despair, but a reason to live fully. When you suffer, remind yourself, this will pass. When you rejoice, remind yourself, This too is precious, because it will pass. Impermanence teaches you to endure with strength and to savor with gratitude. So what do we do with this truth? We choose to live with intention. We stop wasting days in regret or fear. We stop postponing joy for some future moment. We stop giving power to emotions that do not last. Instead, we live fully in the present. We build rituals that steady us. We practice peace as discipline. We push ourselves to notice the beauty of today. Happiness is not found in avoiding pain, nor in chasing pleasure. Happiness is found in living aligned with reality, in mastering your response, in building strength from within. The Stoics called this eudaimonia, a flourishing life rooted not in circumstances, but in virtue. And this is the life you are capable of, a life where anger may knock, but you do not bow, a life where fear may whisper, but you still walk forward, a life where anxiety may rattle, but you remain grounded, a life where storms may come, but you stand tall, knowing everything is temporary. This is not easy. It requires patience, discipline, practice. It requires you to fall and rise again and again. But with each fall, you rise stronger. With each storm, you grow steadier. With each choice, you reclaim sovereignty over yourself. So as we close this journey, carry these truths with you. Happiness is within, waiting to be chosen. Emotions are visitors, not masters. Rituals are anchors, holding you steady. Peace is discipline, the greatest strength. And everything, absolutely everything, is temporary. Remember them when life feels heavy. Whisper them when storms press close. Write them down, repeat them, live them. Because these are not just ideas, they are practices that transform you. And perhaps most important of all, know that you are not broken, you are becoming, you are not weak, you are training, you are not lost. You are walking the same path the ancients walked, and their footsteps show you the way. We have seen how happiness begins with awareness, how emotions are only visitors, how rituals anchor us, how peace is discipline, and how everything is temporary. But to leave the wisdom of the ancients here would be incomplete. For the Stoics taught not just how to endure storms, but how to live with joy, with strength, with purpose every single day. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This was not empty poetry, but daily instruction. He reminded himself that every sunrise was a chance to practice virtue, to embody peace, to walk the path of discipline. If the most powerful man in the world began his mornings with gratitude, what excuse do we have? Gratitude is the hidden engine of Stoic happiness. Not the shallow gratitude of pretending everything is perfect, but the deep gratitude of recognizing that even imperfection is life. Even hardship is training. Even loss is proof that we loved. To wake each day and say, "Thank you for this breath. Thank you for this challenge. Thank you for this chance," is to build a foundation unshaken by circumstance. Seneca reminded us that life is long if you know how to use it. Yet how much of life is lost in waiting, in distraction, in chasing what does not matter? We say we will be happy when the promotion comes, when the relationship improves, when the future finally aligns. But the future never arrives as we imagine it, and so happiness is postponed until it dies of neglect. The Stoics warned against this trap. They taught us to claim joy now in the ordinary, in the imperfect, in the fleeting moment before it vanishes. Happiness, then, is not found in extraordinary moments. It is built in ordinary days. The morning walk, the quiet meal, the laughter of a friend, the stillness before sleep. These are not small, they are everything. For the one who can rejoice in small things has discovered a wealth that cannot be taken. But still, life will test you. People will insult, fate will turn, storms will rise. And here again the Stoics shine. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is the essence of Stoic resilience. The world may bring difficulty, but your response is always yours. Imagine someone mocks you in public. The natural reaction is shame, anger, revenge. But the Stoic response is pause, breathe, remember. These words cannot define me unless I choose to wear them. Imagine failure strikes, a project collapses, a dream slips away. The natural reaction is despair, but the Stoic response is reflection. This too shall pass. What can I learn? How can I rise again? In this way, even suffering is not wasted. Even failure becomes fuel. Even loss becomes teacher. For the Stoic knows that every event in life, pleasant or painful, can be turned toward virtue if met with wisdom. This is why Stoicism is not cold detachment. It is fierce engagement. It calls us to live fully, to love deeply, to act courageously, but without being enslaved by outcomes, to give our best effort without demanding the universe bow to our will, to accept what we cannot change, and to rise stronger where we can. Ask yourself, what would it mean to live this way? To wake with gratitude, to walk with clarity, to meet insult with calm, to meet failure with learning, to meet success with humility. Would you not feel lighter? Would you not feel freer? For the truth is, peace is not a dream, it is a discipline. Happiness is not luck, it is practice. Resilience is not inherited, it is built. And all of these are yours if you choose to live them. The ancients left us their words not to admire but to apply. Their lives were proof that calm can be found even in chaos, that peace can be built even in pain, that strength can be trained even in weakness. They lived it, they wrote it, they passed it on to us, and now it is our turn. We have explored awareness, emotion, ritual, discipline, impermanence, and gratitude. But one final thread remains, the unifying reflection that ties all Stoic lessons together into a living path. A way of seeing, a way of breathing, a way of becoming unshakable. That final reflection awaits us in the next chapter. Look at how far we have traveled together. We began with the simple truth that happiness is not found in fortune, not given by chance, not hidden in the world outside, but cultivated within. We saw how thoughts shape our days, how awareness is the first step to reclaiming peace. We learned that emotions, however fierce, are only visitors passing like clouds, never permanent. We built rituals that anchor us, morning and night, steadying us in storm and silence alike. We embraced peace as discipline, not weakness, but strength under control. And we discovered the liberating truth that everything is temporary, every storm, every joy, every moment, all passing in the river of time. Now we stand here at the end of this path, and the question arises, what do we do with this wisdom? Do we keep it as words, or do we live it as practice? Do we admire it from a distance, or do we weave it into our breath, into our choices, into the very rhythm of our days? The Stoics would remind us, knowing is nothing without doing. Philosophy is not for lectures, but for living. A thought unpracticed is a seed left unplanted. It holds potential but bears no fruit. So let us imagine the life shaped by these lessons. You wake each morning with gratitude, not for what might come, not for what you hope to gain, but for the simple fact of breath, of life, of one more chance to walk this path. The sunlight through the window is enough. The quiet stirring of the day is enough. The chance to begin again is enough. This gratitude is your first act of strength. As the day unfolds, storms may rise. Someone may insult you. Circumstances may turn. Fear may whisper. But you remember, emotions are visitors, not masters. Anger knocks, but you do not hand it the keys. Fear whispers, but you do not give it command. Anxiety rattles, but you observe it, breathe, and let it pass. You remain steady, not because storms do not come, but because you have learned not to become the storm. Throughout the day, your rituals guide you, a pause before reacting, a breath before speaking, a reflection before sleeping. These are not small acts, they are pillars. They are the architecture of your fortress, the roots of your strength. And when peace feels fragile, you remember, it is not weakness, but discipline. It is not an accident, but a practice. Each moment of restraint, each breath of clarity, each return to calm is proof of mastery. You do not control the world, but you control yourself. And in that control lies freedom. Then, as night falls, you reflect. You ask, what did I do well? Where did I stumble? How can I improve? This is not punishment, but progress. You see your life not as failure or success, but as practice. Every stumble is training, every step is growth, every choice is becoming. And above all, you hold close the truth of impermanence, that nothing lasts forever, not pain, not joy, not even the day itself. This frees you to endure the heavy seasons and to cherish the light ones, to weep when sorrow comes, to laugh when joy arrives, to trust always that the tide will turn. This is the Stoic life, not distant, not detached, but deeply engaged, deeply awake, deeply alive. It is not the absence of feeling, but the mastery of it. Not the denial of hardship, but the transformation of it. Not the escape from life, but the embrace of it. And perhaps this is the greatest gift the ancients offer us: the courage to live fully, to love deeply, to act with integrity, all while knowing that everything passes. To hold life lightly, yet live it fiercely. To remain steady in storms, grateful in calm, disciplined in peace. So I ask you, what will you do with this wisdom? Will you let anger rule you, or will you master it? Will you let fear cage you, or will you walk forward anyway? Will you waste your days in regret and distraction, or will you claim them with gratitude and presence? The choice is yours, and it is a choice you make not once, but every moment. Because happiness is not a place, it is a practice. Peace is not an accident, it is a discipline. Strength is not found in controlling the world, but in mastering yourself. And freedom is not doing whatever you please, but becoming unshakable no matter what life brings. This is what Marcus Aurelius lived, what Seneca wrote, what Epictetus taught. This is what the ancients passed down, and now it belongs to you. So let us close where we began, with the reminder to push yourself to be happy every day. Not by forcing joy, but by practicing clarity. Not by denying pain, but by transforming it. Not by waiting for life to change, but by changing how you meet life. Push yourself to gratitude in the morning, to discipline in the day, to reflection in the evening. Push yourself to see emotions as weather, storms as teachers, impermanence as freedom. Push yourself to practice peace, again and again, until it is no longer effort but instinct, no longer discipline but nature. For in this practice lies your strength, your freedom, your happiness. We have traced the path of happiness through awareness, through discipline, through impermanence. But wisdom is not complete until it is applied, until it walks beside us in daily life. Stoicism is not meant for quiet libraries alone. It is meant for the marketplace, for the battlefield, for the home, for the heart. Marcus Aurelius did not write his meditations for others. He wrote them for himself, in the midst of leading armies, losing children, facing betrayal. Seneca did not craft his letters for abstract philosophy. He wrote them while navigating wealth, politics, and the threat of exile. Epictetus did not speak in riddles from comfort. He taught from the harsh reality of slavery, injury, and poverty. Their words matter because they were tested in fire. And so the question becomes, how do we apply this fire-tested wisdom today in the struggles of our modern lives? Consider work, the deadlines, the pressure, the criticism that feels unfair. The Stoic remembers, it is not the event, but the judgment that disturbs us. A harsh email is just words until you label it insult. A delay is just time until you call it disaster. A failure is just outcome until you name it ruin. The discipline is to pause, to strip events of judgment, to see them as neutral clay, waiting to be shaped by your response. Consider relationships. The arguments, the betrayals, the misunderstandings that cut deeper than we admit. The Stoic remembers. Others act from their own judgments, their own fears, their own blindness. Marcus wrote, Whenever you are offended at someone's fault, turn to yourself and consider your own failings. This is not surrender, it is perspective. It frees you from wasting your life in bitterness and invites you to rise with patience and clarity. Consider setbacks, the plans that collapse, the doors that close, the dreams that dissolve. The Stoic remembers, every obstacle is also an opportunity. Marcus wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." To meet frustration, not with despair, but with creativity, is to turn life itself into training. Imagine facing a failure with this mindset. Instead of collapse, you ask, what can this teach me? Where can this redirect me? How can I rise stronger? Imagine facing betrayal. Instead of drowning in bitterness, you ask, what does this reveal about them? What does it reveal about me? How can I choose dignity? Imagine facing fear. Instead of retreat, you whisper, I may be afraid, but fear will not command me. This is the Stoic life, not the absence of hardship, but the transformation of it. Not escape from storms, but learning to walk through them with steady steps. And this practice does not make you less human, it makes you more. For to feel emotions without being enslaved by them, to face difficulty without being destroyed by it, to love deeply without clinging desperately, that is the fullness of life. The world will tell you happiness is found in comfort, in security, in pleasure. The ancients tell you happiness is found in strength, in virtue, in mastery of the self. Which voice will you follow? Think of the modern man or woman who lives by these lessons. They wake with gratitude, they face work with clarity, they navigate relationships with patience, they endure setbacks with resilience. To the world, they may look ordinary, but within, they carry unshakable calm, like a fortress no storm can break. This is who you are capable of becoming. Not tomorrow, not when circumstances change, but now, in this very moment, by choosing to practice. So let us be clear, happiness is not waiting at the top of the mountain, it is built in the climb. Peace is not waiting in the absence of storms, it is forged in the storm. Strength is not waiting at the finish line, it is trained in every step. You are not powerless, you are not broken. You are not waiting for life to fix itself. You are building yourself through every challenge. And that is why you must push yourself to be happy every day. Not in denial of hardship, but in defiance of it. Not because life is easy, but because you are strong. We have spoken of storms, of rituals, of impermanence. But the ancients give us another image to hold. The image of the inner fortress. A place within that no insult can breach, no storm can topple, no loss can shatter. Marcus Aurelius called it the citadel of the soul. He wrote, "Men seek retreats for themselves, houses in the country, seashores, mountains, and you too are wont to desire such things very much. But this is altogether a mark of the most common sort of men, for it is in your power whenever you choose to retire into yourself. For nowhere either with more quiet or more freedom from trouble does a man retire than into his own soul." What does this mean for us? It means peace is not found in escape, not in running away, not in building walls of stone. Peace is found in building strength of mind, in training thought, in mastering response. Your true fortress is not outside, it is inside. Think of a castle with high walls. Strong, but only as long as the stones hold. What if the storm crumbles them? What if enemies break through? That fortress is temporary, but the inner fortress cannot be broken, for it is built not of stone, but of discipline, of clarity, of virtue. The Stoics trained their minds daily to build this fortress. Marcus with reflection, Seneca with writing, Epictetus with teaching. Each pause before anger was a stone. Each breath before fear was mortar. Each moment of calm and chaos was a tower rising higher. So how do we build our fortress? Start with awareness. Each time you catch a thought before it spirals, you lay a stone. Start with presence. Each time you breathe deeply instead of reacting, you strengthen the wall. Start with reflection. Each time you learn from a stumble instead of drowning in shame, you build the foundation deeper. And soon you notice, the fortress stands taller, insults bounce off its walls, fear beats at the gate but cannot enter, anxiety scratches at the door but finds no opening. This does not mean you never feel pain, it means pain cannot destroy you. This does not mean you never feel fear, it means fear cannot command you. This does not mean you never feel loss, it means loss cannot empty you. And here lies the paradox. The stronger your fortress, the more open you become. For when you are unshakable within, you do not need to defend with anger or armor without. You can meet others with patience, with compassion, with generosity. For nothing they do can break you. This is the life the ancients call us to. To live not scattered by every storm, not ruled by every insult, not shaken by every loss, but anchored in an inner fortress that no force can topple. So I ask you now, what stones will you lay today? What practice will strengthen your walls? What ritual will deepen your foundation? For the storms will come, but with your fortress you will stand. The Stoics spoke often of courage, discipline, resilience, but they also spoke of love. For what is life without human connection? What is strength if not shared? What is wisdom if not lived among others? Marcus Aurelius, despite ruling an empire, wrote tenderly of his friends, of his teachers, of his family. He honored their memory with gratitude. He reminded himself that every relationship was temporary and therefore sacred. He wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." Here lies a truth we often forget. Love is not weakness, it is strength. To open your heart, knowing loss is inevitable, is courage. To give your trust, knowing betrayal is possible, is bravery. To cherish someone today, knowing tomorrow is not promised, is wisdom. But the Stoics also warned us not to cling. Epictetus taught, when you kiss your child, say to yourself, tomorrow they may die. Not to live in fear, but to live in gratitude. To love without illusion, to cherish without possession, to hold lightly but deeply. What does this mean for us? It means not postponing affection until it is too late. It means not taking people for granted, as if they will always be there. It means seeing every conversation, every laugh, every touch as a gift that will one day be memory. How often do we quarrel over small things, forgetting how fragile time is? How often do we withhold forgiveness, as if eternity is ours? The Stoics remind us, life is short, relationships are shorter. Do not waste them in bitterness, do not waste them in silence. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. And nowhere is this more true than in love." So let us practice Stoic love. When you are with someone, be fully present. Set aside distraction, look into their eyes, listen deeply. Do not wait for tomorrow to say thank you, to say I love you, to say I forgive you. Tomorrow is not promised. When conflict arises, pause. Ask yourself, will this matter in a year, in a month, even in a week? Is this worth losing peace over? Is this worth letting love sour? More often than not, the answer is no. And when loss comes, and it will, do not say, I have lost what was mine. Say instead, I was given a gift, and now it has returned. For nothing is truly ours, not people, not possessions, not even our own breath. All is given, all is returned. Gratitude transforms grief into reverence. Think of a candle burning. Its light warms the room for a time, and then it fades. Do we curse the darkness, or do we give thanks for the light we were given? Every relationship is such a candle, bright, fragile, temporary, and precious. The Stoic way of love, then, is not cold detachment. It is fierce gratitude. It is the courage to open fully, the discipline to hold lightly, the wisdom to love deeply. So ask yourself, who in your life needs your presence today? Who needs your patience, your forgiveness, your gratitude. Who are you taking for granted as if time is endless? Do not wait. Speak now, love now, forgive now. For one day these moments will be memories, and you will want them to be filled not with regret, but with gratitude. And yet love always leads us to its shadow, for to love is to face loss, to connect is to risk grief, to live is to face death. The Stoics did not turn from the shadow. They walked into it with open eyes, with steady breath, with courage. That is where we turn next. Love shows us how fragile life is. Connection reminds us that nothing is guaranteed, and so we arrive at the greatest shadow of all, death. The ancients never ignored it. They faced it directly, not with despair, but with clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." For him, death was not a terror, but a compass. It reminded him not to waste time, not to postpone virtue, not to delay gratitude. Seneca echoed this when he said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." His letters were filled with urgency, not panic, but purpose. To live as if each day might be the last, and therefore to live fully, rightly, presently. Epictetus, born a slave, crippled, often near death, taught his students, "I cannot escape death, but at least I can escape the fear of it." To him, fear of death was worse than death itself, for it chained the soul long before the body fell. What does this mean for us? It means we must stop pretending life is endless. Stop living as if we will always have tomorrow, as if the people we love will always be near, as if the chance to change will always be waiting. The truth is, we do not know how many mornings remain. We do not know how many sunsets we will see. We do not know when the final breath will come. Does this thought sadden you, or does it wake you? For the Stoics, it was not despair, but awakening. A reminder that today is priceless, that this moment is everything, that nothing matters more than living with virtue now. Fear thrives in uncertainty, but death is certain. The timing is not. The event is. And once you accept that truth, fear loses its teeth. You no longer waste your days in dread. You use them in gratitude. You no longer shrink from risk. You step forward with courage. Think of the fears that bind us. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of loss. Underneath them all is fear of death, the fear of ending, of being nothing, of losing what we love. But once you face death, once you see it as natural as night following day, those smaller fears dissolve. You are free to act, free to speak, free to try, free to love, free to live. For what is failure compared to death? What is embarrassment compared to the end of life itself? What is rejection compared to the silence of the grave? These fears are shadows, and death reveals them as such. The Stoics taught, memento mori, remember you must die, not to terrify, but to clarify, to remind us to live with courage, to remind us to love deeply, to remind us to practice virtue daily. So when fear whispers, when anxiety grips, when courage falters, remember, death is certain, but life is now. Do not waste it in hesitation. Do not waste it in dread. Step forward, speak truth, love fully, act with virtue. This is the paradox. By remembering death, you learn to live. By facing mortality, you discover freedom. By accepting the end, you cherish the present. Marcus Aurelius faced plagues, wars, endless uncertainty. Yet he wrote not in despair, but in gratitude. Seneca faced exile, plots, and finally death itself with calm. Epictetus lived with the scars of slavery, but taught joyfully. They knew the truth. We do not control how long we live, but we always control how we live. So ask yourself, if today were the last, would you waste it in anger? Would you waste it in fear? Would you waste it in regret? Or would you use it as the ancients did, to live rightly, to love fiercely, to practice gratitude? The choice is yours. It always has been. And once you face death with courage, once you free yourself from fear, another question arises. How then do you live? How do you pursue success, wealth, ambition, without being chained by them? The Stoics had answers, and that is where we go next. We have faced storms, embraced love, confronted death. Now we turn to another test of the human spirit, success. For adversity tests us, but so does prosperity. Loss humbles us, but so can achievement if we are not careful. The Stoics never condemned wealth or ambition itself. They warned against enslavement to it. Marcus Aurelius wore the crown of Rome, yet reminded himself daily, fame is smoke, riches are dust, power is fleeting. He wrote, "Do not waste the remainder of your life in thoughts about others, when you do not refer your thoughts to some object of common utility. For you lose the opportunity of doing something else when you have such thoughts." His focus was always on virtue, not applause. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men of his age, admitted that fortune had given him riches, but he cautioned, "It is not the man who has too little that is poor, but the one who hankers after more." Ambition without limit is hunger without end. Success without wisdom is slavery with golden chains. Epictetus, who owned nothing, taught, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." For him, success was freedom from craving, not the endless pursuit of more. What does this mean for us? It means ambition is not the enemy. Attachment is. You may strive for goals, for excellence, for achievement, but do not tie your worth to the outcome. Success is sweet, but it does not define you. Failure stings, but it does not destroy you.
Think of the athlete training for victory. The Stoic would say, train fully, give everything, but remember the medal is not yours to command. Train for the excellence of effort, not the applause of the crowd. Then, whether you win or lose, you have succeeded. Think of the entrepreneur building a business. The Stoic would say, pursue innovation, create value, work with integrity, but do not bind your peace to profit or praise. For markets rise and fall, applause fades, fortune shifts, but virtue, discipline, courage, honesty remains. Think of the artist creating work. The Stoic would say, express yourself fully, pour your soul into the craft, but do not chain your joy to recognition. For fame is fickle, critics are many, and trends vanish. But the act of creation itself is success. The Stoics taught us to hold ambition lightly, to pursue excellence without being consumed by it, to strive but not to cling, to enjoy success but not to worship it. This is freedom. To enjoy wealth without being possessed by it, to pursue ambition without being ruled by it, to receive praise without being inflated by it, to endure criticism without being crushed by it. Ask yourself, do you own your ambition, or does it own you? Do you use wealth as a tool, or does it use you? Do you enjoy success, or do you need it to feel alive? The Stoics remind us, true success is mastery of self, not mastery of others. Marcus ruled the mightiest empire in history, yet he called himself a servant of reason. Seneca had riches beyond most, yet he called himself a student of simplicity. Epictetus had nothing, yet he called himself free. So pursue your dreams, but pursue them with wisdom. Strive for excellence, but do not lose yourself in it. Use wealth, but do not worship it. Welcome success, but do not depend on it, for all of it is temporary. Fortune rises and falls, applause comes and goes, ambition shifts like the wind, but your virtue, your discipline, your peace, these remain. And so we arrive at the final reflection. We have faced storms, embraced love, confronted death, and reframed success. Now we gather all of it, the discipline, the gratitude, the impermanence, the freedom, into one. Last meditation. A call to live as the ancients lived, steady, strong, and unshakable. We have walked far together, through storms and rituals, through love and loss, through death and courage, through ambition and humility. Each page has been a step on the same road, a road the ancients themselves walked, a road that winds through centuries but always leads back here into the quiet of your own heart. And so we pause now, not to add new truths, but to weave the old ones into a single tapestry, to see how each thread, awareness, discipline, gratitude, impermanence, resilience, comes together to form a fabric strong enough to clothe a life. Remember the beginning. You learned that happiness is not found outside, but within, that no storm can drown you unless you surrender, that no insult can break you unless you let it enter, that no failure defines you unless you wear it as identity. Awareness was the first step, the opening of eyes, the noticing of thoughts, the pause that revealed freedom. Then came the visitors, emotions rising like tides, crashing like waves, but never permanent. Anger came, but it passed. Fear came, but it softened. Anxiety came, but it faded. You saw that emotions are weather, not essence. You are the sky, vast and steady, holding the storm until it clears. Next were the rituals, stones, of the inner fortress. Morning gratitude, evening reflection, daily pauses. Small acts repeated until they became instinct, anchors that steadied you when the world shook. With each ritual, you built walls no chaos could topple. Then discipline, peace as practice, calm as strength, not weakness, not indifference, but controlled power. To feel the fire of emotion without burning, to feel the weight of fear without breaking, to feel the sting of insult without lashing back. Discipline turned storms into training, obstacles into opportunities. Then impermanence, the truth that freed you. Everything is temporary. Pain fades, joy shifts, loss heals, even life itself passes. This truth did not bring despair, but gratitude. For if sorrow does not last, you can endure it. If joy does not last, you must cherish it. Impermanence taught you to endure with strength and to savor with love. And gratitude wove through it all, the hidden engine, the quiet flame. Gratitude for breath, for challenge, for connection, for chance. Gratitude that turned hardship into teacher, loss into gift, life itself into treasure. Then came the lessons of love and death. To open your heart, knowing loss will come, is courage. To face mortality, knowing time is short, is awakening. Love taught you to be present. Death taught you to be urgent. Together they taught you to live fully. And success, wealth, ambition, praise was reframed. No longer master but servant. Tools to use, not gods to worship. Achievements enjoyed but not clung to. Applause welcomed, but not required. For true success is mastery of self, not mastery of others. And so here you are at the end of this path, carrying the wisdom of the ancients. What will you do with it? Will you let it remain as words, or will you live it as practice? Will you nod at the philosophy, or will you breathe it into your days? The Stoics would remind you the time is now. Life is short, storms will come, love will fade, death will arrive, success will pass, but today you are alive. Today you can practice. Today you can build your fortress. Today you can live with virtue. Picture this. You wake tomorrow with gratitude. You face challenges with calm. You meet people with patience. You reflect at night with honesty. You hold life lightly, love deeply, act courageously, and return again to gratitude. That is the Stoic life. Not a dream, not a myth, but a practice you can begin this very day. You may stumble, you may forget, you may fall into anger, into fear, into craving. But each stumble is training, each fall is practice, each return is progress. For mastery is not perfection, it is persistence. So let this be your meditation. Breathe deeply, feel the air in your lungs. Say to yourself, this moment is enough. Whatever comes, I will remain steady. Whatever passes, I will remain grateful. Whatever fades, I will remain whole. You are not weak. You are training. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are not lost. You are walking the path the ancients walked, and their footprints guide your way. Marcus Aurelius faced storms and wrote, "If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your judgment about it, and it is in your power to wipe out this judgment now." Seneca faced exile and death and wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." Epictetus, born in chains, crippled yet free in spirit, taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." There, voices echo across centuries, and now they echo within you. So stand tall in storms, love without clinging, face death without fear, pursue success without slavery, live each day with gratitude, and above all, push yourself to be happy, not as a chase, but as a choice, not as a dream, but as a discipline. This is your path now. This is your fortress, your freedom, your peace. The ancients walked before us. Marcus Aurelius under the weight of an empire, Seneca under the threat of exile, Epictetus under the chains of slavery. And yet they all discovered the same truth, that the fortress of peace, the well of joy, the seat of freedom is not outside, but within. We began this journey with storms, with the truth that emotions rise like tempests, sudden, loud, consuming. We saw how anger grips, how fear whispers, how anxiety tightens its claws. And we learned to burst discipline, to pause, to breathe, to watch, to see emotions as visitors, not masters, as waves that crash and roll away. We learned awareness, that to notice is to free, that to catch the thought is to break the chain, that to pause before reacting is to reclaim your sovereignty. In this noticing, the first brick of the inner fortress was laid. Then came rituals, the steady rhythm of Stoic life. Morning gratitude, evening reflection, pauses in between. Not routines of habit, but rituals of intention, each one a stone in the citadel of the soul. These rituals became anchors in storm, compasses in confusion, shields in chaos. We embraced peace as discipline, not weakness, but strength under control. The discipline to remain calm in insult, to remain steady in failure, to remain grounded in success. For peace is not accident, it is practice. It is the daily shaping of the self into something strong, clear, free. Then came impermanence, the truth that freed us. Everything is temporary. Pain fades, joy shifts, loss heals. Even life itself passes. This truth taught us to endure sorrow with strength and to savor joy with gratitude, to hold all of life lightly but lovingly, fiercely but freely. Gratitude ran through every lesson, the quiet fire that transforms perception. Gratitude for breath, gratitude for challenge, gratitude for love, gratitude even for loss, for it reminds us how deeply we cared. Gratitude that turns hardship into teacher, emptiness into space for new growth. We faced love and loss, the sweetest and sharpest of life's lessons. To love deeply without clinging, to forgive quickly, to cherish the fleeting presence of those we hold dear, to remember that every smile, every conversation, every embrace is a candle, bright, fragile, temporary, and therefore sacred. Then we faced death, the shadow beneath all fear. We saw that by remembering death, we awaken to life, that by facing mortality, we discover urgency, that by accepting the end, we dissolve fear and discover freedom. Death became not a terror, but a teacher, reminding us life is short, therefore live rightly. Love fiercely, act now. From there we turn to success, wealth, ambition, the glittering illusions that enslave so many. The Stoics reminded us that ambition is not the enemy, attachment is, wealth is not evil, craving is, success is not ruin, dependence is to strive without clinging, to achieve without slavery, to enjoy without possession. That is freedom. All these lessons flowed into the image of the inner fortress, a citadel built not of stone, but of discipline, gratitude, impermanence, and love. A fortress that no storm can topple, no insult can breach, no loss can shatter. For the walls are made of clarity, the towers are built of practice, the gates are guarded by choice. And so we arrive here. At the final reflection, take a breath. Feel it move in, feel it move out. This breath is life, and it is enough. Whatever storms you face, you carry this breath. Whatever losses you endure, you carry this breath. Whatever fears whisper, you carry this breath. You are not weak, you are training. You are not broken, you are becoming. You are not lost. You are walking the same road the ancients walked, and they walk beside you still. Marcus reminds you, do not waste time in anger, for life is short. Seneca reminds you, wealth is nothing without wisdom. Epictetus reminds you, you cannot control the world, but you can always control yourself. Together they remind you, you are free, free to choose presence over distraction, free to choose gratitude over complaint, free to choose calm over chaos, free to choose courage over fear, free to choose happiness, not as a prize to chase, but as a practice to embody. This is the river of Stoic wisdom. It began centuries ago. It flows through you now, and it will flow long after. You need not drink the whole river, only sip from it daily, only bathe in its waters when storms rage. Only let it remind you, peace is possible, strength is trainable, joy is available. So push yourself to be happy every day, not by forcing joy, but by practicing clarity, not by denying pain, but by transforming it, not by waiting for life to change, but by changing how you meet life. Push yourself to gratitude in the morning, to patience in the afternoon, to reflection at night. Push yourself to meet fear with courage, anger with calm, loss with love, success with humility. Push yourself to build your fortress, one breath, one choice, one day at a time. And when storms come, and they will, you will stand tall. When loss arrives, and it will, you will hold with gratitude. When death approaches, and it will, you will meet it with calm, for you have trained, you have practiced, you have become. This is not theory, this is life. not philosophy for libraries, but for the battlefield of the soul. Not words for admiration, but wisdom for practice. Not theirs alone, but yours now. The ancients have handed you the torch. Carry it. Let it light your path. Let it remind you that no storm is final, no loss is total, no fear is permanent. Let it remind you that peace is always within reach, that happiness is always in practice, that freedom is always in choice. You are the calm in the storm. You are the gratitude in the loss. You are the courage in the face of fear. You are the discipline in the chaos. You are the Stoic, living in modern times, but walking the same timeless path. Thank you for staying until the end of this journey. If these words gave you even a breath of clarity, if they reminded you of your own strength, welcome to Marcus Aurelius Stoic Resilience. This is your home now. Like this video, if one of these lessons spoke to you, share it with someone who needs to hear this truth today. Subscribe to Marcus Aurelius Stoic Resilience for timeless wisdom from the ancients. And until the next chapter, stay grounded, stay grateful, stay stoic.